It's loaded. Do you want to do the intro today, Ezra? Is that what I heard? Oh, whoops. Okay. Let's just. Oh, I'm bad.
Oh, hold on. It's coming through my speakers.
Yep.
All right.
Scuffed.
Professional
2. I've already started.
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Geek-Cetera, where our cameras aren't aligned right with the border. Don't even worry about it.
Wait, no, what? I'm gonna lose it. I hate OBS with a passion.
Geek-Cetera, we're professional.
It's fine. This is what you get today.
Yeah,
You
we'll
get
live with it.
a good old average 0 out of 10. Oh no, I keep clicking. Why do I keep clicking buttons? Who put me in charge of this?
You?
What an idiot.
I'm so far behind from live. Hang on. Hold on.
Well, fine.
I'm
We're
try-
good at this. We really are.
Okay, wait, are we still rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still rolling. We never
Okay.
stopped rolling it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to do the intro again. This is Geek-Cetera. I'm Ezra. We have Chase and Joa, and I probably pointed the wrong way. But today we're going to talk about a theory that Joa has found, I think.
A few theories.
A theory I've come up
You
with,
found it, right?
and a theory Chase found.
I found it. So the initial theory I found was on Reddit. Shock and Awe of Reddit, of all places, has theories for Star Wars. And it was the theory that the rebellion was basically funded by the Emperor to help control people because he thought he'd give them the illusion of choice and then crush them and they'd be like, oh, this is the only option, basically. So he basically funded his own demise, is what the theory was. But then I'm like, there are probably some way better theories that are absolutely way jankier that we could probably come up with.
Enough. Okay.
That's where I come in.
All right.
It's where we both come in.
So let's take a second here.
One Mississippi.
Yep. I don't right off the bat, I don't really like this theory because I am a Palpatine sympathizer. and,
Simp.
and I like the Empire because it's cool. And like I like Palpatine mostly because of how overpowered of a villain he is. And in my mind, in my own headcanon, I like to make him more overpowered than he actually is. But like to me, everything that Palpatine does, has a plan for it. Like there's reasons he does things, and a lot of times he's like right in these reasons, or like not right, but like he's very smart. So I have a hard time believing that he would, fund this rebellion, and not see ahead that this could actually take off and be something that ends up in his downfall. So that's where I am at.
I do see both sides of the coin here. Like, I understand, like, you definitely, with your point, he's too smart for that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he's also the grand dictator for life of the galaxy at this point, and he believes he's untouchable because Sith. So I could see hubris taking over there. But is it a smart idea? No, I don't think he would do it. I don't think it makes sense.
I don't think you would either. And thus we are here.
Yeah.
If we all just agreed with this theory, it would make a really boring video.
Yeah.
Stream.
Wait a minute. Now I'm thinking about something. So okay. So
now Ezra's on the side of Palpatine.
Oh boy.
Okay, all right, hold on. So obviously there's a reason right? Why he decided, or why the decision was made to, rather than use the clones, which I think are far superior to the enlistees, why he would decide to do that instead of continuing to use the clones. And one theory that I have seen, or I can't remember, I would give a shout out, but I can't remember what video I watched. I watch a lot of videos, but like one theory that I've watched a video on was because allowing enlistees or people to join the army is a patriotic thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it would, further add support to his regime, which, especially if you imagine like, some like a family of people and their son joins their military, that's going to make the entire family more like on the Empire's side because our boy is fighting for the Empire, that kind of thing.
Rather than
So
just, oh yeah, you hired a mindless clone to fight for you because he'll literally do what you said because you created him.
yeah,
And you
right.
own him.
There.
So and a lot of that was, like a lot of that can be propagated, like, anyway. So that like that aspect of adding general enlistment instead of clones, like, kind of adds to the political power of the Empire, even though, it's kind of like he doesn't really need political power because he just kind of
He is the Senate.
does what he is, the Senate. But that would get the support of the general people. So if there wasn't a rebellion or there wasn't someone to fight, would people join the cause? Like, I mean,
If there's
Your
nothing.
job would literally be just kind of keep the peace.
Yeah.
how do you justify spending that much money on troops?
So
I
you
mean,
can get oil in
in
the
the-
Middle East. Never mind. Didn't say
in
that
the
out
Bad
loud.
Batch-
So
Well, hold on.
anyway.
In the Bad Batch, it's confirmed that conscription is cheaper than manufacturing clones.
Yes.
Even so, though, how do
I like the way
you
that Ezra spun it, though, and I could totally see that as a Palpatine point of view.
how do you justify to the people, to the Galactic Senate, which isn't really a thing anymore, but it still exists? How do you justify it to the people supporting you that you need to spend all this amount of money on military? Where, from an outsider perspective, if there's no one to fight,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of just instituting an authoritarian government for the purpose of being an authoritarian government. There's not an emergency threat anymore. They've already taken out the Jedi.
Think
And
of Rome in history. Rome, they had the period, the Pax Romana. I can't speak, but
Mhm.
it was a long period of just relative peace. But the only, they still had a military, but the only reason they really had that was because of crime. Crime is still a thing even in
Mhm.
times of peace. So army in that case would act less like, an army to fight against people attacking you, and more of a police force.
But also,
Which we absolutely
you don't need as many police as you do soldiers when you're
certainly.
fighting a war.
that's kind of the point
Yeah.
I'm trying to get across. We absolutely see them act as police officers or some sort of law enforcement in Rebels, and that is one of their functions for sure. But the quantity, the amount of people or amount of troops that they had to hire, like, it just
They do have quite a bit.
unless
few.
there's an actual war to fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of justifies the costs, which
Yeah.
maybe I can see where this theory kind of like gains a little validity, is like maybe he instituted the rebellion not
Mhm.
thinking they'd really catch on to like justify the amount of troops that he was to hire, and in order to keep his regime like
That gave me another thought. Like, what if he was kind of organizing that almost for entertainment? Like, oh, I just get to watch these little people scuffle.
You're
amongst
starting to
themselves,
touch on
like-
one of my points for my thought, Joa. So my because I wasn't sold on the Palpatine theory, but Ezra's kind of got me thinking that it actually makes sense now. I was thinking Thrawn. The reason I was thinking that Thrawn was behind it is because we see in Rebels, he definitely lets them get away with a whole lot of garbage. They steal some ships, they steal supplies, he lets them run around. He doesn't kill them like as soon as he has the opportunity to. But also, Thrawn is a chess master. He is a brilliant strategist. It's a game to him. If he kind of lets them build up, then he has something to fight against because nobody has given him this challenge yet. I know that me being a very competitive person, I do something until I'm the best, and then if I don't have anybody who's like competitive, I get annoyed. So Thrawn being this brilliant strategist during the his time period, now he goes into this period of theoretical peace. Sure, you get a couple of rebellion splinter cells, and like that's they're super easy, barely an inconvenience. But if you can get them to all combine together, you give them supplies, hey, all of a sudden this is going to be a harder fight. Mine's not a great theory, but
No, I kind of like that.
I like it. That's why I think
But
like
I'm
when
not
Joa
the
said that like
Thrawn.
kind of a little bit of entertainment, this is a Thrawn entertainment spin.
You know,
So
I like that. I'm not the Thrawn expert here, though. I think
I think
Joa might
Joa
have
is, yeah.
rebuttal.
I've
He
read
will.
all the current Thrawn books.
Timothy Zahn
Have you
books.
have you? There are 5 Thrawn books right now.
Are they
Yeah.
3 they're canon. They're
The-
Disney canon.
The Timothy Zahn ones, right?
Yep, written by
Yeah, I've
Timothy
not
Zahn, the
gotten to
same
read
guy
them
who
yet.
wrote the Last Command trilogy.
But I've heard they're really good.
They're very good. I recommend them all.
I was gonna get them on audiobooks, so
I have them on audiobooks. The the narrator is fantastic. Highly
Mark Thompson,
recommend.
I'm assuming.
Mark Thompson. Yep.
He's done all
Mark
of them.
Thompson.
But yeah, so in these books, it actually is from Thrawn's point of view, and a lot of people do have that idea of him like, oh, he's a traitor to the cause. You know, he's collaborating with these alien species, but the entire time, he is making it very clear that his motives are to the Emperor because he basically declared his loyalty to the Emperor and then to his people afterwards. But if it came between the two, he would choose the Emperor because that's his current mission, you know. He is a very honorable person in the books. And he is, again, a very intelligent and strategic person. And because the books are from his point of view, he doesn't lose very often. And when he does, he uses it to spin up a victory later and learn from his mistakes. It makes him a very good leader and a very efficient and ruthless
Strategist, yeah.
A very good strategist. I know I didn't see in the books. They probably wouldn't like go out and say it if he was anyway, if they're trying to keep suspense. But he wasn't ever shown to be like collaborating with the rebels.
I don't think he needs to collaborate with them per se. I think that giving them the leeway, because in Rebels he absolutely lets them steal that, like the ship with all the docking for their basically the floating fortress, because they're there and they're pursuing them in a Star Destroyer, and one of his admirals is like, sure, sir, should we push the offensive? He's like, no, let them have this victory. And he's like, but we could just crush them now. And Thrawn's like, no, we can do that later.
That kind of goes into his honorable part. He knows when he's been beaten, and when he sees like the other team get like an advantage, he wants to see what they do with it, so that he can use that against them later.
Yeah.
And to him, that minor loss was outweighed by the fact he could gain a lot more
Like
learning
intel.
what they did with it.
You can crush a single cell of rebels or like one team, right? Or, you know, you can gain intel about how they operate as a whole. Even and their tactics, even from one team to the other, are pretty similar. So,
and so it could still be, because in Rebels, obviously, at the end is kind of when all of the cells start coming together. And Thrawn is taken out of the picture at that point. So maybe it was his idea along to kind of get them all together so that way it would be an easy defeat. But then he got taken out before he could complete his plan, and that's why it seems like he helps them establish themselves as like a threat.
And you know what's really funny? The third Thrawn book, Thrawn Treason, actually goes into why he got taken out of the fight there. Like, it's the space, like, in the middle of season 4 where he got taken out. It shows, like, it explains what happened in that time period, what he was doing. And it was actually kind of the Empire's fault that he was taken out of that, because
I mean, I
his
was
funding
thinking like
for
the end of
Defender
the show.
project. No, yeah, his funding for the TIE Defender project was basically being stolen by Krennic for funding the Death Star, and he had a challenge to Thrawn, like, okay, you have like a week to fix this one little issue that I have with the Death Star, and if you can manage it, then you can have your funding back. So he leaves for that time period in order to meet Krennic's challenge.
Interesting.
Ends up failing, and then going back.
So I'm assuming that's one of the few losses that he has.
That's one of the few losses. He technically doesn't really count it as a loss, though.
Yeah, because it's not a battle.
It's a political battle.
Yeah.
So it technically is a loss, but he's like, it's fine because the solution that I came up with solved the problem that they didn't see. But the technicality of it, I didn't win.
Gotcha.
You'd have to read to see what I'm talking about exactly, but
I know. I want to. I just haven't gone to it yet.
this does kind of go into my theory, though, because my theory does heavily revolve around those Thrawn books. I'll start with the Thrawn Ascendancy books. There are only 2 of them out right now. I know there's a third one being written. But there is a political power in the unknown regions of, where the Chiss live, known as the Gris-Hegemony, that is revealed in the second book, Greater Good. But in the first book, their influence is still felt, because the main villain of that first book is kind of a vassal of the Gris-Hegemony. And how the Gris-Hegemony works, and how they're shown to strategize, is the way Thrawn is a tactician around the military battlefield. The Grisks are tacticians of the political sense. They have assets that they can utilize to undermine the opposing governments and try to tear them down from within. And then they also use brute force to tear them from without.
So you're saying establishing a sleeper cell of basically the rebels to undermine the Empire's authority?
Kind of. They don't do it using their own people, though. They'll find people who are unhappy with the government they live in, or want a better life, or have ambition, and they'll exploit their ambitions to undermine the governments. So they're shown to have political manipulation, and they're shown to have ambition to take over the region of space that they live in, especially with wanting to take down the Chiss Ascendancy, who is the biggest galactic power in the unknown regions. And in the other Thrawn trilogy, Thrawn Alliances and Thrawn Treason, they're actually shown to have successfully started a civil war within the Chiss Ascendancy. So they're successful. But not only that, in Thrawn Treason and Thrawn Alliances, they're shown to be trying to reach out into the Empire's territory. In fact, to the point, that extra issue that I mentioned that they were having with the Death Star project that they didn't even think of, it was the Grisk siphoning off resources from the Death Star to use for their own purposes. So they were specifically shown to be messing with the Empire. And my theory is they realized the Empire was a strong power. So they needed a way to take them down. What's the best way to do that is rally all of the people who are unhappy and sponsor them and give them a little push to say, go get them, Tiger. And then after the Empire falls, collapses in on itself because the rebellion took them all out, they go in and clean up the mess that's left behind after perhaps a new government rises up that's
New Republic,
much
maybe?
weaker. A new republic, which is specifically shown to be much weaker and less coherent in The Mandalorian than the Empire was. The client says, the chaos around, like, you see nothing but chaos around now that the Empire is gone. The Empire improved every system it touched. But now that the Empire is gone, that structure isn't there anymore either. But my theory is also a little bit bad for the Grisk because we don't see the Grisk coming in and taking over after the New Republic rises. I believe that we're going to see in the Thrawn books, or at some point later, maybe in the Ahsoka show, the Grisk hegemony gets taken down themselves before they have a chance to cannibalize the New Republic.
So
That's
Ahsoka needs
very interesting.
I would love that because we see Ahsoka in the Mando hunting down, trying to find Thrawn. If she was hunting down Thrawn, trying to get his help so that way she could stop the Grisk.
I believe that at this point she thinks he's still working with the Empire, and he is going to convince her to help the Chiss Ascendancy recover from their civil war and retaliate against the Grisk.
Okay, but
Any of these options are cool.
There's a very obvious reason for why she's hunting down Thrawn, and it doesn't have anything to do with any of that.
Ezra.
Yeah, she's trying to find Ezra. I thought, but
but it would make sense.
It does beg the question why she wouldn't have said she was looking for Ezra instead of Thrawn.
Yeah,
maybe she got a lead on Thrawn and wants to figure out, because Thrawn and Ezra were right next to each other when they both went missing. So
yeah.
Kind of an interesting.
Yeah,
could be
I do like your.
I've been excited about this for a long time. My mom actually had a question. She's been rewatching through all of Star Wars actually, from the very beginning, chronological order. And she had a question about the New Republic, and I was like, oh, this goes right into my theory. I want to talk about that because so I've been excited.
Do you want to know the theory that I like the least?
Yep.
The theory that I like the least is the fact that there are people who say the Rebel Alliance is literally just the Rebel Alliance and they have no sponsor. Because it doesn't make sense.
Well, why?
They are kind of sponsored by
money.
Characters like Mon Mothma.
But there's not enough money there. And it's my same issue with S.H.I.E.L.D. in the S.H.I.E.L.D. shows. So, through the first couple seasons, sure, S.H.I.E.L.D. is a government-sponsored, and so tons of military money and whatever, all that going there. But then Hydra happens, S.H.I.E.L.D. gets exiled, the government is actively hunting down S.H.I.E.L.D. Where the heck is S.H.I.E.L.D. getting the money to have several helicarriers?
You forget, S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't matter anymore because it's all been retconned.
I hate you. But
I hate it too.
You're not wrong, but that doesn't make me any less mad. But still, in the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, it's still something they have these helicarriers or the Quinjets, and they're getting all this money to build this tech, to fuel this tech from nowhere. Same thing with the Rebel Alliance. They've got several squadrons of X-Wings, several squadrons of Y-Wings, which, yeah, sure, we know they steal, but they still have to get their fuel from somewhere. They still have to get their food from somewhere. They still have to have a civilization that runs on power, and the amount that they got hunted down by the Empire, moving from, Yavin to Hoth to, living on their entire fleet. That's not.
leaving out Adelon and the planet that was before that.
Yeah, there are a few others that I wasn't even gonna throw in there, but like they needed a lot of money. How are they staying afloat without doing, and like we've seen, whenever Mando needs money, he just takes a bounty hunting job and he doesn't care about, being the good guy. He just needs money. So, but the rebellion is like, oh, we have to do this for the good of all people. They're not just going to go out and take a bounty hunting gig and kill someone because they're all about, yay, sanctity of life. So it's
But
like
being rebels, they might steal weapons from the Empire.
they definitely, and in the show they stole fuel and stuff, but there's no way they could like steal enough because they couldn't.
Well, and we don't see all of the rebels. I'm sure there's some, but we don't see all of them using Empire weapons.
Yeah.
Like
True.
the E11 blasters, like they don't.
Most of them don't.
those.
Most of them
Yeah.
use
So-
like the A2080,
Yeah.
280.
Yep,
Did I say
exactly.
2080? 280.
So where was I going with this? Yeah, so obviously they didn't get all their weapons from stealing them. They
Yeah.
obviously had to buy some. So they're somehow being
And
funded.
even buying them on the black market is not going to be cheap.
No.
Like, so the fact that some people are like, oh, the rebellion is just the rebellion. I'm like, no, you're dumb.
It does make more sense that they're getting support from somewhere.
It's from somewhere. It has to be.
I mean, they do have a lot of senators and like rich people backing them, but I don't think it's enough money.
But
I
even
think
like
you're
the
right. I think
even
it's
if
not
you're
enough.
even if you're Senator Organa and you come from a wealthy and long line of people, you're not going to have enough money to fund a civil war all by yourself. Even if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
getting a few of them, like it's just
Not
not that I've
feasible
ever
at all.
funded a civil war, but I can't imagine that they're terribly cheap.
Especially on a
cons-
galactic scale.
And especially the fact that this lasted 19 years because they basically started picking up the pieces at the end of episode 3 until Luke was 19. Like that's a lot. Even if you want to say, they didn't start getting their crap together until 10 years after episode 3. That's still nearly 10 years of civil war that they had to fund. Like that's not cheap.
Especially when they're like paying bounty hunters too to
Mhm.
like steal, um,
Everybody's
Intel.
got to eat.
intel from a droid factory or droid deconstructing place. I don't know.
I mean, at least the cheap part about the Bothans is that they all die anyway, so it's like you only have to pay one to do the work of 100.
What? Okay, so Logan says yes, but once the war starts, your revenue picks up as well. How does that make sense?
Especially if you're in the arms industry.
He's saying, like, I'm assuming from Senator Organa's point of view, that Senator Organa starts a gun business so he can sell guns to the Empire to fund the rebellion. Is that what you mean? Either way, I don't understand what Logan's saying.
don't
I'm just trying to
I think he's
justify.
selling guns to the rebels and making money off of it to support the rebels.
That doesn't make any
That's
sense. That's not how money works.
That's more like free guns,
Yeah,
and nobody just has free guns.
exactly.
Okay, hold on. I've got a great idea. I'm gonna make some money real quick. Ready? I'm gonna take some money out of this pocket and put it in that one.
There you go.
I'm rich, guys. I figured it out.
I don't think you get more money throughout the war, Logan. Dude, the money has to come from somewhere.
I don't think he understands
I am
how
confusion.
money works.
He's still an infant. He doesn't have
Wait,
to worry about money.
they have the Quicksilver cashback card.
Oh my god!
mo-
Oh,
the
how
more
did we
they-
not think about this before?
Exactly.
The more they spend, Quicksilver cashback card. If you need a sponsor,
Oh boy!
He's saying
Not
you
sponsored,
sell the
by the way.
guns and then steal them.
Oh, so like in the Prohibition period, like, hey, this is a stick up. Oh no, what will I do? Give us all the alcohol, Fatso. Hey, Fatso wasn't in the script. I love oversimplified. It's great.
Oversimplified is hilarious.
You gotta check
But
that
yeah,
channel out if you haven't.
But even still, like, we're saying that you're not stealing enough to keep up with this. So even if you steal a crate of guns and you sell it back to the Empire, that's, woo, 1,000 credits. That's not going to keep you going for very
You
long.
sell guns to the Empire and have the rebellion steal from them.
And eventually
Okay.
you'd get found out too. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
okay, but this is the thing though, with how the Empire is run. They have their own factories.
Mm-hmm.
They make the guns.
Yeah.
It is government subsidized.
That's the entire thing about, like, in Rebels with Lothal, them strip mining the planet. Like,
Yeah.
true.
that is 100% Empire, just yoink, hippity hoppity,
Mhm.
your land is now my property. Like,
Yeah.
they don't
I
need
don't
to be
know.
buying third party. Either way, it's nearly impossible for them to make enough money without being subsidized in some way, the rebellion. So,
Especially on the scale that it
This is coming from 3 financial experts.
I work at a bank, I technically classify.
I would say 2 and 1 person who doesn't even know how to adult yet.
I almost
will
know how to
not
adult,
call
Joa. That's
myself.
rude.
I'm talking about me.
I know I'm making a joke.
You know.
I would not call myself a financial expert, although I just did.
I mean, I don't know. That's all I got.
I'm trying to like just think of edge case things here. No, not edge case. Like just crazy ideas to end this.
I figured it out. No.
Insurance.
You want to know how the rebellion made all their money?
What?
They invested in GameStop and AMC.
Oh
There
my
you
goodness.
go. Perfect.
That's what it is. Dogecoin,
In the
Joe, you said something before Chase started. You said insurance, and I think I
Yeah.
figured it out.
They're committing
okay?
insurance fraud.
They took out insurance policy for in case your government gets overthrown by a ruthless dictator. They cashed in, and now they're using the money.
The banking clan was like, ha, these idiots, this will never happen. We're just going to rip them off. And then they have the biggest payout ever. And the
That's why- that's
the
why
Muns
we
are just
don't
sitting
hear
there
about-
like, oh dear God, what have we done?
That's why we don't hear about the banking clan anymore in the Empire. 'Cause
true.
They went bankrupt.
They basically just had to give everything to the rebellion. Yep.
Oh, what about NFTs? They probably got in on NFTs too.
Oh my goodness.
Got to sell those cat pictures that technically I own, but are technically your property on the internet. I mean,
They had Leia start an OnlyFans. Like,
no, we're not going there.
it's too late, Joa. We
I
need
know
to
it's
stop
too
now
late.
before this
I
gets
just-
too far
yeah.
off the rails.
No,
Well, who's doing the outro?
Ezra, just bring us home.
okay.
Please.
Well, we've talked about a lot of things. A lot of things were said, and we've decided that it's time to. I'm taking over the Senate, and now I'm going to institute my own form of government, and it's going to be better than yours, and you all now belong to me now. So that's what we decided. I'm pretty sure. And I don't know how to do this. Chase,
No.
go ahead.
If you did enjoy this, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what your thoughts are for who was backing the Rebel Alliance. If you say nobody, you're just wrong, but leave the comment anyway. We might be
Leave
back.
a like if you enjoyed.
I already said that one.
You did.
Yeah,
Leave
it
a
was-
dislike
it
if
was
you didn't,
very-
but give constructive criticism.
But yeah, we'll probably be back at some point.
Constructive.
We live stream usually on Mondays at 7 o'clock, but sometimes not. So, yeah, we'll figure that out. And until next time, I am the Senate.
To
That was
defeat an
good.
enemy, you must know them.
That was a good one.
Ezra, do you have anything, or we're just